the cloud. Okay, so Miss Tiffani, first of all, it's been a pleasure to collaborate you on this new venture we're doing, getting together and discussing different topics that are related to business and social economics and anything else that we want to talk about. So anyway, so I'm looking forward to exploring all these different ideas with you.
Same here, Stacy. We've known each other for such a long time. I think it's about time we collaborated and got something done here in the area of business, because we've been talking about it for such a long time. And I met you as you had your own business, when you had your own business, and then
right.
Another type of business. Not to say that you don't have it now. You still have your own business now, but I met you during when you had one business and still know you as an entrepreneur. So I think this is fitting for both of us.
Well, you know, you're also a business owner, or you had a business at one point. Share with the audience a little bit about your background.
You know, this is the funniest question, Stacy. You know, everyone asks me about my background, and I am not one to really talk a lot about myself. So it's okay. I'm working on it. I will tell you, I will go probably as far back as, you know, how I kind of came to the place where I am. And I can bring you back maybe a few years. Let's start when I started, or like how we met. I was considering running for office. You and I met. You were great support. You always believed in me. And finally, one day I decided to do it in 2020. Run for special election in District 30 here in California, senatorial seat. And this was after, of course, during the time, I still have my consulting business and still do. And I was doing that at the same time I was running for office. And I think that's what saved me in running for office and campaigning, because I knew how to solve problems in my consulting business, made it easier for me to solve problems as I was going through my campaign. So after the campaign, I learned a lot. I started a political action committee, and I was invited to host my own show, which is now called Beyond the Lines with Tiffani Jones. It's on TECN TV, and it's online, and it's a great opportunity. So that's a little bit about me. I won't go back as far as my childhood and what I did and all that.
But you have an extensive background and you know, and you know, politics and just, you know, business and just entrepreneurship, and I love it. So you know, and again, you know, my background, I ran a successful learning center for many years. Decided after about 15 years that after 2008 hit, and realizing that a lot of parents were not going to invest in supplemental education, I decided to look into starting another business. And so I started my financial agency. And then on top of that, I started working in the B2B sector with businesses and helping them address some of their workforce concerns through benefits, and looking for other ways to infuse cash back into their business through other means. And so so you know, after years of us hanging out and supporting each other, now we come together and see what value we can bring to other people. So this is amazing. So
it is amazing. And you know, when I ran, one of the things on my platform were small businesses and small business empowerment. So this is like our topic tonight, and our discussion is going to be, it'll fit into what I was actually doing as I was campaigning and what challenges there were during that time. And because you know, that was during the pandemic, so
right,
it's very, very challenging. But you're right, though, a lot of people, and I think our topic, which is why
the Great Resignation. That's okay. So what we know that right now is that there is a phrase that's going around right now called the Great Resignation. So just briefly, just kind of share with people what's going on right now, what we've heard, what's going on with this whole Great Resignation.
Well, I think that the Great Resignation started in the pandemic, and according to the article that I've read with you and that you shared with me, is that it started during the pandemic because, of course, everyone's staying home. So everyone has a lot of time to think about what they're doing now, what they want to do in the future. And it really, really hit home. So when it was time for people to go back to work in 2021, nobody wanted to go. Because now they've found their passion, they had enough money, they were traveling. So it was a kind of like what they say, quote unquote, a come to Jesus moment, right? Where
Right.
you figure out what your purpose is, what your calling is. And then you're like, well, I don't want to go back to work. So, in the article, they discussed that a large part of the people resigning, believe it or not only the baby boomers that were retiring, but Generation Z, which are the teens and the early 20s, the children, the young adults, I should say, not children, but the teens and, the young adults have considered other options. So whether they're selling crypto, whether they're starting their own businesses, they're just, they're over the whole song and dance of a 9-to-5. And furthermore, most people in the hospitality businesses, and I'm sure you see now that the restaurants have opened, there's just not a lot of people. There's not a lot of people to service, the customers that are coming into the restaurants, because most of those people have not come back. And where there are a lot of jobs opening, there are definitely more jobs that are vacant than, that are filled at this time. And people just don't want to come back. I mean, can you blame them once you have a taste of freedom and you have time to determine what your purpose is and what your calling is, and you have now an opportunity to do that? I mean, what a great feeling that is. I mean, to anyone, because
No, I agree with you. I guess the reality check is that can you make a living doing what you now envision yourself doing? So, it's interesting. In this one article that I read, they talked about what's causing the Great Resignation, and they did a survey that kind of outlined what the biggest causes of why people were quitting their jobs. And I'd like to just go over that and just let me know what you think here. So out of 67% in this survey done by Zeti, said that 67% said that it was because of low salary. Another 66% said that it was limited career opportunities. So maybe that's where it's hitting on there. They're not happy with what they're doing. Let me go down the list and then we'll break it down one by one, and then let's discuss that. 65% said that they weren't being valued by their manager. So maybe, okay. 64% said that it was due to the relationships with their colleagues. 64% said that it was inadequate pandemic health measures. Another 64% said poor employee benefits. And 62% said they wanted to change a job industry entirely. So let's go back and look at, based on those statistics, what are your thoughts on that? So what was the real cause of the Great Resignation? You said they were looking for their passion, but clearly 67% said it was low salary. So is it because they weren't making enough money, or is it because they weren't doing what they thought was of value? Or was it based on the relationships in the workforce with their managers and their colleagues? This is interesting.
I think it really had to do with passion. I think at the end of the day, you start to realize that what is important to you. When you are working and had worked pre-pandemic, you were working, your commute may have been more than an hour. You so that meant that you didn't have enough time to spend with your family. You were working too much, all that. So it's like you start to evaluate what is really important. Is my family important? Do I want to spend time with my family? And I think that the the employers realized that they were not paying great salaries. But what is going to make a person stay? The salary is not going to make anyone stay. It's if they enjoy staying, because the happier you are and you enjoy what you do, the more productive you will be. So people start to have a realistic look at what their situation or what their dynamic was. Now, I could say, we talked, the other factors were benefits. And a lot of people, like during the pandemic, I was around the service hospitality industry. And benefits definitely were one of them. They were definitely overworked because they thought people that were working with them were going to come back to work with them. They thought that they would have more support, and none of that existed. And, they tried to call people back. People were like, I'm making more money on unemployment than I am when I go to work. So
is it money? So is it a money issue? Because again,
I think it is. I think it was. I really think it was. I said, people got unemployment, and some people were making more money on unemployment than they were going to a job.
Correct. So they would, but why go back to work when you're getting unemployment? But did that scenario create this culture? Did that help support or create a culture of entitlement when people feel that they would rather be home and collect government funds versus going to work? Did we go backwards with that? I mean,
right. I think we did. I think now that you have more government interaction and the government telling you what to do, that play a large role. But during the pandemic, when the money was rolling, that wasn't supposed to be for people to stay in employment. It was a temporary fix to get the economy back on its feet. Okay, I don't know. It just
so you're going in and out, so I don't know if we're not. Is it showing that you have?
That it was. I was on. My connection was a little.
It's unstable. Okay, so that's what it's showing. I'm not getting that on that side, but let's keep it going. So so then the next question in this article is what can employers do to retain, attract, and inspire their workers? And so the question then became, for the employee, well, what made the grass greener on the other side? What are the factors that attracted people to new jobs? And here's some statistics that I like to discuss. So 77% said that they wanted flexible working practices. Okay, 77% said they left their previous job into another job because of better salary. So it does support what we're talking about here. And then another said they had better employee benefits. That's why they moved to a different job. Another 77% said they wanted more stable work. So salary 9 to 5 versus a varying shift. So maybe they had a job that didn't offer them a straight 9 to 5. They wanted more stability in their work schedule. And then 75% said that they wanted more meaningful work. I don't know why when I hear more meaningful work, I think of the millennials. They are the ones that tend to want some deeper meaning in their work. And then 74% that they wanted to the prospect of career growth. So maybe they felt that they were stuck where they are and they wanted to be able to further progress in their skills. So what are your thoughts on those statistics by Zeddy?
It's just that I love your questions. I really do. I think, first off with the flexibility, I think a lot of people wanted flexibility in their work schedule. Some people are single parents, have to go get their children at 6 o'clock before 6 o'clock from daycare. There's no one's working with you. You have to be at work at 8, you end at 5, you have an hour to get your child from daycare. So that really matters, because at the end of the day, you are looking at what your income is and what's going out and how much time you're spending with your family, and what are your priorities. And I think, because that's always been a thing, a lot of people, at least when I was in corporate America, that was one of the biggest things. That there was, and for myself, I mean, I had to go to daycare, I had to pick up my daughter from, after work, and it was a little challenging because, I got off at 5 and I had to be there before 6. So I think that is definitely a factor. So people are like, oh, I'm staying at home. My children stay at home. I'm homeschooling them right now. So everything is done in the house and they don't have to commute. They don't have, and right now, who wants to go to work with gas prices being $5 and $6?
Oh my goodness. I mean, did you, what was the last, yesterday I was driving home and I saw what, $5 and something cents. I'm like, the world has lost its mind. We haven't paid that high in price in gas like in a while. So I'd stay at home all day. I didn't want to go anywhere just to see.
People got used to living a certain way, and I think it was necessary because our society was in a place where it was just so tense. People were so it was building up to what happened. We really were unhappy. People were not getting their basic needs met. They're in a job they don't like. The benefits are not good. They're working long hours. They don't see their family that much. So you had a lot of factors that played into it. But like I said, when I was, like during the pandemic, I got a chance to witness, I had the opportunity to witness the hospitality industry. And it was just, the restaurant suffered, and everybody was tired. Like the people who stayed in it, and it was crazy. The hospitality industry used to be a lot better than it is today. And especially during the pandemic, you had to deal with stuff that you had never seen before. You had people who coming in there to have different experiences because they had never traveled anywhere. Their behavior was outrageous, and it was a total shock. I mean, it hit the industry like an earthquake. Everybody
You're talking about
like, oh.
You're talking about pre-pandemic or during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, and then when they came back, when they tried to get people back, people were like, no, why do I want to go back to that? Why do I want to go back to all this headache, all this chaos? It was crazy. The behavior had totally changed. You had different experiences. You had different people. You had different dynamics. You had people who didn't travel, who used to stay in their neighborhood. Now we're traveling out and about and doing things and shopping. And it was so chaotic, but it was just outrageous. The behaviors were outrageous. People thought that they were it was crazy.
Oh, you're talking about, are you referring to during the pandemic when the hospital, right? So during that time, people were locked in their houses. People didn't go anywhere, and you're saying that the hospitality industry suffered. And then when all of the mandates started to lift and people started to go back out, is that the period of time you're talking about?
And right, as they start to, I will say that, yes, that's very true. As the mandates started to lift, then people started traveling more. Rates were lower. So people could afford to, let's say, if it was $200 a night, it was $100 a night. So people were able to travel because the rates for air flights, for hotel accommodations were at all-time low. So they were like, oh, we have nothing to do. We have some money. Let's travel. Let's do this. And then after post-pandemic, you had the reason why you had this is because people got used to staying home and having all their needs met, right? So when people were trying to, when the employer was trying to get people to come back, it was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then you had the exhaustion, the employees that were currently there, and they're like, oh my God, I don't even think I can take any more of this. I don't want to even stay here anymore, because hospitality isn't the same thing. So
I see.
you had a lot of things going on. But definitely now, I think the thing that most are talking about are benefits, because they're like, I could have this, but I need to be compensated if I come back. I need more than what I had before I
Okay.
left.
So let me play the devil's advocates here. So, small businesses make up about over 95% of our economy. And yet most small businesses are not, business owners that I come in contact with are not wealthy. A lot of them are barely hanging on by shoestring. I just met with a car repair, collision repair owner yesterday, and he said that his vendors' costs are going up. And so
Yeah.
what it cost him to be able to repair and paint a car now has doubled. So his costs have gone up, his vendors have gone up, but he can't charge that price to his customers. So basically he's slowly dying. His business
Yeah.
is slowly dying because he can't keep up. Now, I went there to talk to them about employee benefits, and they want medical. A lot of them want medical insurance, but I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you offer group medical benefits, the employer is responsible for part of that cost. And if he's already, losing profits and struggling with keeping up with the cost, the increasing cost of his vendors, how's he going to afford to provide any additional benefits? So, we've been talking about the employee, but maybe next time let's explore what's this whole great resignation is doing and how it's affecting the employer. So we're looking at it from the employee side, but maybe we should have another conversation about the employer side of it.
And that will be a good conversation to have. Because
Yes.
on my show, I actually am going to have someone come on the show that was actually, he's a chef, and he has restaurants. He's a small business owner, so he has a different take on it. And
Okay.
totally, because you're right. The business owner has a totally different outlook, especially if you own a restaurant and a small business of any sort.
Right. All right. So why don't we tailor our conversation to the next time? So looking forward to the next conversation. And we look forward to hearing the comments of people that actually hear what we have to say. So,
Yes.
all right.
It was so nice. It was so nice being here, Stacy. Thank you so much. And we'll come back, I guess, at another time, another episode.
We sure will. We sure will. Thank you.